Hungarian Folk Tales. The Gold Coin and the Hat. I want to tell you the story of 3 young men and a hat. The 3 young men were all big-bearded fellows, and one day they decided that the time had come to go out and seek their fortunes in the great wide world. They walked and walked until they came to a little village, and as they neared the village, they met an old man. And one of the young men said, "How many days are there in the world, old man?" "One less with today, young man," the old man replied. "And are there any good men left in the world?" "Roses still bloom even when they're surrounded by weeds." Now that was clever, the young man said. "I'll ask you one more question. What does an old man have under his hat? Come to the inn, young men, and I'll tell you there." The young men were penniless, but they still went with the old man. But the old man was the first to enter, and he told the innkeeper to keep pouring them wine until they had 5 florins worth. So all 4 men took a seat at the table, and the innkeeper poured wine, and they drank it and had a very jolly time indeed. But when they had drunk 5 florins worth, the innkeeper stopped serving them and politely asked, "Now, gentlemen, who will pay for all this fine wine?" The young men would have willingly paid, but they were penniless. "So then the hat will pay," the old man said. And he took off his hat, shook it, and a gold coin fell out. The young men were very surprised by this sight and keen to get their hands on the old man's valuable hat. Then all they would have to do was to shake it, and the ground would be covered in gold coins. They pleaded and appealed to the old man to sell them his hat and to name his price. "Very well," the old man said. "You can see that I am indeed an old man, and so 500 florins would be enough for the few years I have left. So that is my price for the hat, young sirs." The young gentlemen all ran to the count and asked to borrow 500 florins, and the count was happy to comply. So they paid the old man the price for the hat, and he went home. Then the hearty young fellows continued to eat and drink and make merry until a very late hour that night. And when the time came to pay, they shook the old man's hat, but nothing fell out. Not even a single gold coin. What were the poor fools to do? They could not pay, and so the innkeeper made them all stay and work to pay for the wine they had drunk that night. The moment the innkeeper let them go, they hurried to find the old man who had sold them the hat. "Let's go and look for him in the village, and we'll teach that old man a lesson for cheating us so." The old man got wind of their arrival and tried to hide all over the house, but his wife still found him wherever he hid. Then his wife said to him at last, "You silly old fool, don't try and hide. It's much better if you pretend to be dead. Lie on the bench and I shall put a sheet over you, and when the young men come, I shall tell them that you're dead, and they will not be able to do a thing with a dead man." So that's exactly what they did, and the wife began to weep for her dead husband. "Oh, my dearest darling husband, why did you die and leave me here all alone?" When the young men appeared, they asked the wife why she was crying so. "What happened? Why are you crying, old lady?" "How could I not cry, my dears? My husband is lying dead on the bench, and I am left here to fend for myself alone. But do not mourn his loss, for he was a terrible rogue." But then one of the young men sighted a stick in the corner of the room, and he could not resist giving the old man's body a prod. "Take that, you scoundrel, for the money you stole from us." Then the old man leapt up and put his hands together in thanks. Oh, God bless you, gentlemen. Behold, now I believe in the miraculous power of the stick. Listen here. I was walking in the fields one day when I saw a dead dog lying there. I prodded the dead dog with this selfsame stick and it jumped up and ran away. But now I know better than ever that this stick has the power to perform miracles. Wife, give these young men all we possess and we will keep only this stick. Then, when a rich man dies, I will raise him back from the dead and be richly rewarded for my miraculous deed. Not so fast, the young men said. We don't want your possessions, we want your miraculous stick. The old man was not willing to hand it over at first, but then he agreed. You made fools of us once before, but never again. God bless you, old man. Then the old man laughed and gave them the stick. The young men were walking back through the village when they passed the house of the Count. There they saw a hearse and 6 horses about to set off in a funeral procession. So the young gentleman asked who was about to be buried. The people told them, why, the young Countess, of course. There you can see her mother, father, and handsome bridegroom standing behind the coffin. The young men did not waste a minute and ran up to the old Countess. They demanded that she open the coffin that instant so they might raise the young Countess from the dead. Then the old Countess did as the young men said and promised them all the treasure she had if only they could bring her daughter back from the dead. So one of the young men approached the coffin and tapped the young Countess lightly on the throat with a miraculous stick. She looked dead 1 minute and was alive the next. Everyone was delighted and now they would have a wedding instead of a wake. And they all ate and drank and had a very good time. The young men received a cart full of gold for their troubles and were so happy that they even gave the old man a sack of gold when they passed his house again. Strange as it may sound, they never tried their luck with the stick a second time because they still thought that the old man might have tricked them after all. So they all went back to school to complete their studies. So that is how this story ends. If you liked it, tell it to your friends.